Good morning to the adjudicators and debaters. Before we start our debate today, this is a gentle reminder. Please mute your microphone when you are not presenting. Thank you. Welcome to Tan Sri Datuk Seri Panglima Dr. Abdul Rahman Arshad Challenge Trophy English Language Debate Competition 2022. The motion for today is, this House regrets the dominant belief that customers' needs and desires should always come first. So acting as the government team from this debate is from KMY with Mr. Alif Ahmad Razi as the first speaker, Ms. Amber Lee Jiashuan as the second speaker, Mr. Yuga Varga, son of Senggaragan, as the third speaker, and the reply speech will be delivered by Ms. Amber Lee Jiashuan. While acting as the opposition team for this debate is the team from KOTA Star, with Ms. Tiffany Chi Huajia as the first speaker, Ms. Darin Adani binti Muhammad Anas as the second speaker, Ms. Priyanka Bernardine Cameron as the third speaker, and the reply speech will be delivered by Ms. Darin Adani binti Muhammad Anas. There are three adjudicators who will adjudicate this debate. They are Madam Hasmat Mutia binti Hassan as the Chief Judge, and she will be assisted by Madam Hazrin binti Abdullah, Mr. Muhammad Safwan bin Fuad, Madam Mohana, daughter of Balakrishnan, Madam Nur Asmidar binti Hashim. I would like to read out some of the rules of this debate. For the substantive speech, each debater is given 8 minutes to deliver the speech. The timekeeper will ring the bell once after the first time to show that the points of POI can be delivered. The timekeeper will then ring the bell once again at the end of the 7 minutes to show that the time for POI is over. At the end of the 8 minutes, the bell will be rung twice to indicate the time allocated is over. A maximum time of 3 minutes will be given to both teams to prepare for the reply speech. The timekeeper will ring the bell once to show that the time for preparation starts, and then the bell will be rung twice after 3 minutes to show that the time to prepare for the reply speech has ended. For reply speech, the timekeeper will ring the bell once at the 3rd minute to signal that the debater has 1 minute left. At the end of the 4th minute, the bell will be rung twice to signal the end of the debate. Now, we shall begin our debate today. To open the case from the government team, please welcome the first speaker of the government team, Mr. Alif Ahmad.
Assalamualaikum and a very good morning to the adjudicators, accurate timekeeper, honorable judges, the opposition team and members of the House. The motion that has been presented today is this House regrets the dominant belief that customers' needs and desires should always come first. And we, the government team, strongly support this motion put forth. Today, I, as the Prime Minister, will be defining the key words which are crucial in today's motion and presenting one point of our own. Our Deputy Prime Minister, as the second speaker, will rebut some of the points put forth by the opposition team and present 2 of our own points to further support our case today. Our senior minister, as the third speaker, will rebut all points put forth by the opposition team and affirm why the motion today should stand. Now, as for the definition of the motion, according to the Oxford Dictionary, dominant is defined as more important, powerful, or noticeable than other things. Belief is defined as a strong feeling that something or somebody believes or is true. Customer is defined as a person or an organization that buys something from a shop or store or a business. Need is defined as to require something or somebody because they are essential or very important, not just because you would like to have them. Desire, on the other hand, is defined as a strong wish to have to do or have something. Finally, always is defined as at all times. Our baseline is because this dominant belief has already nurtured an absolutely discriminative and biased environment. Moving on, allow me to present my point, which is it clouds the element of equality. Allow me to elaborate. When a society has these types of dominant belief, it has created a discriminative environment towards workers, especially in the service sector. The dominant belief that customers' desires and needs should always come first directly gives the customers the right to exhibit authoritarian behavior. Authoritarian is the act of favoring complete obedience to the people who's been given authority. In this case, the customer, before personal freedom, even when it's totally unfair. We must remember that these service workers earn minimum wage. Having to deal with this type of selfish people will inevitably give them an insurmountable amount of stress. The importance of equality in this barter system is that to ensure every group of people, unconditional from their political, economical dominance, social hierarchy, or any of this sort, should have equal rights. No one should be given a step higher in their authority to demand for their needs or desires and disregard the human rights and respect that should be given to workers. We're not saying that customers' needs and desires should not be prioritized. Rather, we are saying that it should not always be prioritized, especially if it violates human rights and disregards respect for workers. The purpose of the government today is to change this toxic and dominant belief to ensure the satisfaction, happiness, and a fair treatment of our citizens. We're saying that both parties should have equal rights. By giving the rights and superiority to the customers, the customers will then use this authority and abuse their power to insult and discriminate against the workers, especially waiters and other service workers. This is extremely detrimental to our country. We should not encourage these types of behavior in our citizens, these types of behavior that discriminates against other people. The opposition team should agree that everyone deserves fair treatment. If you disagree, then you're saying that just the fact that they are working as service workers disregards their human rights, disregards the fact that they should be treated as human beings. In conclusion, this dominant belief has violated the human rights and discriminates against the service provider. Once again, our case line is because this dominant belief has already nurtured an absolutely discriminative and biased environment. We, the government team, wish to change this belief and encourage a more fair and ruly environment towards our citizens. We want to encourage customers to treat service workers like they treat other people, not treat them like slaves. Service workers are not slaves. In fact, they are earning money for their family, earning and trying to provide money for their family. By discriminating against workers, You are therefore disregarding the human right and respects that a human deserves. We, the government team, strongly support the motion put forth today. And with that, we strongly believe that this motion should stand. With that, I rest my case.
Thank you, Mr. Alif. Then, to start the case from the opposition team, please welcome the first speaker of the opposition team, Ms. Tiffany.
A very good day to the honourable judges, accurate timekeeper, well-respected SET government, and fellow members of the floor. The motion set forth today is the House regrets the dominant belief that customers' needs and desires should always come first. I will first move on to definitions. SET opposition would like to redefine the motion in a more detailed manner. We define dominant as most important, powerful, or influential. Belief is a firmly held opinion. Customer is a person who buys goods or services from a shop. Need means require something because it is essential or very important. Desires is strongly wish for or want. Always is at all times. And lastly, first means coming before all others. Now, let me present to you our platform for today's debate. Ladies and gentlemen, in the world of business, the seller and buyer relationship is one, if not the most important components that make a business successful. The fact of the matter here is that this specific relationship helps both sides in positive ways. If your customers are happy, your business or company will ultimately be successful beyond doubt. The after effects of this partnership, the overwhelming benefits that come with flooding in, the tips, revenue sales, and the overall well-being of your company just by having a polite and respectful service act. It is a win-win situation here. On top of that, all customers should always be treated with respect and have their appropriate needs fulfilled. This is because consumers need service do their job appropriately and respectfully. No, thank you. When you go into the customer service industry, you should expect to do just that, serve customers. And that is why we put our customers first. And with that, I proudly present to you SET opposition's parameter for today's motion. We, the opposition, support and prioritize customers' well-being. However, we do that in a way that abides by laws and do not support any form of felony. Now, allow me to present our burden of proof for today's debate. We, as the opposition, believe that the customers play the most important role in a company's success. Before I move on to our very first point for this motion, I would love to state a few rebuttals. The Prime Minister of said government has stated that prioritizing customers disrupts equality. They are claiming that customers will exceed the authoritative behavior.
POI,
government has to understand that no thank you. Every industry has its own consequences and stress. Said government has to think about this in a more realistic way. A salesperson or a service worker has signed up for their job willingly. They need to understand the consequences that they will face if they get themselves into the industry. No thank you. As stated in our parameter, we are abiding by the laws and regulation. So please don't worry about it, said government. There won't be any form of discrimination, any form of felony. Please keep in mind, Abuse of power, discrimination, and even harassment will not take place. Now, allow me to present our very first point for this debate. No, thank you. Customers and our company's main source of income. Everyone agrees that in the service industries, there are always company policies, terms, and regulations, and all of these will always prioritize customers and consumers. Why is this crucial that customers must always come first? Before I elaborate further on that, what exactly is the purpose of a business? It is for the developers to gain income, to earn money. Even they could do it as an investment, and in most cases, the main occupation. Whatever the reason behind their business being developed, they want to gain income. And who would do that for them? The most important people that will bring them success are their customers. Let me break this down for set government and members of the floor. No, thank you. If the management decides to put the company first, they are not prioritizing the needs and desires of their customers. The customer will definitely question this behavior. They are paying for their service, paying for the products. Why are they not being prioritized? And when the customer is unhappy with this treatment, the company will not do well. Since they have lost their main source of income, the management is failing miserably. Now, let me explain why customers are the main source of income of companies. If it's not customers, who else is going to do it for them? Investments? Stocks? Let me repeat my point again. The main purpose of the company is to do well, no thank you, to be successful, to get the bag. And when that happens, you need a high average rate of regular customers. It has to be at its peak. Regretting the dominant belief that customers' needs and desires should always come first means you're neglecting the company's well-being, the success. If customers are unwilling to pay for the things you're providing, the products you're providing, no thank you, you are failing. The company, there's nothing the company can do at this point to save their business unless they decide to change their perspective in the business. They have to abide by consumer rights, company policies, regulations that are clearly stating that we should prioritize customers as they are the main source of income. They are what keep the companies going. Why exactly are customers the main source of income? This is because, as I've mentioned several times, business revolves around customers. Logically thinking and even in stereotypes, if a store has a lot of customers, you can obviously tell that it is a successful company. This is because more people are interested in their products. They are intrigued and satisfied with the service. They like the fact that their needs and desires are being fulfilled and not neglected. Ladies and gentlemen, would you want to visit a store or a company who doesn't put you first, whereas you and other customers are the people that are sustaining the company? The well-being of the company depends on whether or not you care about your customers, whether or not you prioritize your customers' needs and desires. They are the main income of your business. Now that I've come to the end of my speech, I would like to repeat our stand for today's debate. We, as the opposition, believe that the customers play the most important role in a company's success. And with that, I very, very proudly opposes the motion. I rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Tiffany. To continue our debate today, I would like to call the second speaker of the government team, Ms. Amber Lee.
Thank you, Speaker of the House. A very good morning to everyone. Allow me to restate today's motion, which is this House regrets the dominant belief that customers' needs and desires should always come first. Our case line is because such dominant belief has nurtured an absolutely discriminative and biased environment, as customers' needs and desires should always come first. Before I continue with our arguments, allow me to dive into the arguments given by the leader of the opposition team. She has been talking about how money and how customers is the main source of income. But are you trying to say that, are you trying to bring into a society where only money speaks? Is money everything? With money brings higher authority. What will happen to the country if you are going to implement this kind of mindset? So we are not saying that just because they're being paid, does that mean that they deserve to get disrespected, rejected first? So we are also not saying that we shouldn't prioritize their needs and desires, but we are saying that it should not always be prioritized, because some desires is defined as a wish to do something, and just a wish. It could be anything possible. They could wish for anything possible. So we should prioritize their needs and desires when it's okay, but when it might be, it's not always right. So when it violates the policy, or when they wish for anything that is unnecessary, they should not always obey. So we do not deny that a healthy relationship is what makes a business healthy. And we do not deny that we should have respect, we should have good service. This is, of course, it's exactly what we should do as a business. But we are saying that it's not always. We as a business, we as a staff should have the choice and right to choose whether we should obey this or that. So by restricting the parameter, the opposition team is also restricting the parameter. You're neglecting the other possibilities and examples that are actually happening in the world. So are you going to turn a blind eye to those possibilities? Allow me to repeat what my first speaker has said, because I don't think you guys have fully understood. So for the opposition's sake, I'm going to repeat that. It's because the customer's needs and desires always have to be obeyed, leading to the unfair social hierarchy and inequality, which I would further be explaining in my second and third point. I would like to stress that no POIs were given for my first speaker, and that the first speaker of the opposition team rejected all of our POIs that we want to give. So let me restate my purpose, which is we are not denying that customers should come first, but not every demand should always be met, especially when it's violating the boundaries, which we are regretting. So my first point is that different customers come with yes. Accepted?
Why are you now restricting the parameter when your first speaker has absolutely failed to do so, ma'am?
I did not say we are restricting the parameter. You are the ones who restricted the parameter. And I'm saying that we should not restrict the parameter because you're neglecting all the other possibilities. So we different customers comes with different needs. Are you saying that a business should cooperate just and prioritize the customer's needs every time and any time? We don't deny that again, that customers should come first, but it shouldn't always be like that, because we should be prioritizing the business and our stand rather than always going with the customer's needs that might be inappropriate. Remember that. So let me give you an example, which is different needs, because needs is something that is important. We don't deny that we should obey that. We should give them their needs. But it comes with, that's where extreme needs comes in. So when extreme needs comes in, we are going to say that, okay, please give me extreme discounts. Are we going to go against law or policy of the business by demanding something and then offering them this policy just because they wish and just because they desire that? Another thing is special needs. Okay, you can say paralyzed people. Okay, you can say people with mental disabilities, and they would have their desires. And we are not denying that. We can say that, yeah, we can go for their needs. We can help them fulfill their desires. But again, those are their needs. Those aren't their desires. Yeah. We are not denying that. Wait, rejected, let me finish. We are saying that both the desires and needs of the people, like in our motion has stated, should not only always be obeyed. So why are we regretting? Because everyone learns from mistakes, whereas we as the government are also learning from mistakes. Surely we have come across these kinds of problems in the business, and surely we would have come across issues. That's why the business, let me continue. I have a lot to say. The businesses would surely have to come across issues, economical problems, the country, and unfair authority and lack of equity rights in business. This is why we cannot accommodate everyone and we cannot serve everyone at the same time. So you have to think in the shoes of the business. If you have to fulfill every different need of every different desire proposed, what will your business become? Your income would be unstable, and are you always going to fulfill even when you can't? So my second point is the difference of authority between the business and the customer. Their demands and their needs and their desires, if they know they have the full authority to always demand, they would use the authority to the maximum. They would be taking advantage of it. So what will this create? This will create customers with rude and no respect to the staff, because they would feel like, oh, I have the authority to take control. This is happening everywhere, my dear opposition, where customers look down to the staff just because they have the authority, just because they have the dominant belief that if I pay, then I'm the customer, I'm the king, you have to fulfill my needs and desires. And this is also why the term Karen exists in our generation. Just to explain to the judges, it's where a term describes someone who thinks he or she is a king in a business just because they paid, so everything should be followed against her. So the difference of authority also influences dictatorship, where the customers get to detect. Let me give you a down-to-earth example where someone pays the bus driver for a ticket to Penang, maybe, where the customers pays, okay, they are the source of income, like what the opposition has said, okay. So you're saying that the customers should tell the bus driver to drive at the speed of what they want, if they desire for the bus to go for the speed of like 80 kilometers per hour, or if their desire, their wish, they can wish for anything possible. They can wish, let me finish, I have a lot to say. Stop and drink at a certain place, the bus driver should follow. So like my second point, different people have different needs. So what will happen to that? What if someone wants a speed of 80 kilometers per hour? What if one wants a speed of 50 kilometers per hour? What is this situation? So the bus driver should follow their desires and needs, like stated, the motion should always obey and should always come first. So like I've said, we are regretting it. We have already, because the customers, if the customers are understanding, we would love that. But it's because they aren't and there are problems we have regretted. So now we are trying to make a change. In conclusion, this house regrets the dominant belief that customers' needs and desires should always come first, because such dominant belief has nurtured an absolutely discriminative and biased environment, as customers' needs and desires should always come first. With this, I rise my case. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Amberly. The debate will continue with the speech from the second speaker of the opposition team. Please welcome Ms. Darin Idani.
A very good morning to the Madam Chairperson, precise timekeeper, honorable adjudicators, fellow comrades, charming side position, and members of the floor. I, as the second speaker of the opposition team, strongly reject the motion for today by rebutting to the statement given by side government and presenting two strong points from our side. First and foremost, I would like to reinstate our burden of proof, which is that we, as the opposition, believe that customer played the most important role in the company's success. Hence, concerning the points and statements given by side government for today, the first speaker of the government mentioned that inequality towards workers. Ladies and gentlemen, service workers is the one who choose to work in the service section. I believe that they know what they will facing. They are the one who choose to work, so they already know how picky and rude customers can become. Service workers is being treated as human beings. They have a choice, so it's their responsibility whether how they want to work. We as the opposition isn't discarding the service worker. We just say customers' need and desire come first. They also made these hilarious claims that we are neglecting the possibilities. We are not neglecting the possibilities.
POI, ma'am.
Even the customers have the needs, does not abide by the rules. Yes.
So you have said that they will know what they're supposed to face where customers can be very rude. So are you indicating that if money is paid to the business and the business can develop, therefore they have to put a thick face to all rude and unacceptable discriminative behaviors against them?
We as a side opposition does not assist any felony in this motion for today. We are saying they are the one who choose to work in the section, so they know what they are talking about. So if they ever being mistreated, they just can inform the manager. So the company can take action. We customers look, because they also have they also mentioned that customers look down on service workers because they have the authorities. Prioritizing customers' need and desire doesn't mean we are not abiding by the rules. We already state in our platform that no one should assist in the felony. Now, moving on to the second point of the side opposition, which is prioritize reputation. We all know how much power social media and people's opinion could be. One click of a button and bam, going viral. Bam, respect is gone. See, ladies and gentlemen, how a reputation could drop by just a few words. Believe it or not, people will try to keep their reputation. Same with company.
POI,
If the company reputation is bad, how income is going to come? Yes.
we did not say anything about reputation. Please do not put words into our mouth, my dear opposition.
My dear government, you are clearly not hearing what I'm talking about, because this is my point, a government, opposition point, not I'm rebutting your statement. I'm already with my points. See, ladies and gentlemen, how a reputation could drop by just a few words. Believe it or not, people will try to keep their reputation. Same with the company. If the company reputation is bad, how income is going to come? Reputation is such a big aspect in the service company. Ladies and gentlemen, when the customer is not satisfied, they can just go to their peers and make a bad statement, and the peers will go to their family and say, oh, this company is not good because the employees is treated the customers badly. The domino effect will not stop. Automatically, the company reputation will go down the road. Even more, the company sales will go downwards. Members of the floor, didn't you ever wonder why some companies have a long-term regular customer? It is because the customer feels satisfied and content with the service that the employers is giving. The company treats them good, and that's why they're coming back. Yes.
So are you intending to say that even if the customer's desire is to be rude, they still come first?
I already stated in my argument that no felony should be assisted. I'm saying here, if the employer is treating the customer good, the customer will keep coming back to the company and will making the company profit. So let me continue with my points. Furthermore, this customer become one of the most sources of the income. Initially, the regular customer will spread a good word of the people around them, and the company reputation will stand. Ladies and gentlemen, this prove enough why when customers' needs and desire come first, the company reputation will stand strong. Ultimately, in the long run, customer service plays a heavy role in the success of a business. To succeed, we must first give in. As the saying goes, a happy buyer makes a happy seller. Now, moving on to the opposition third and final point, which is customer needs and desire should always come first, will end up in a win-win situation. Ladies and gentlemen, we must open our eyes and realize the government is saying that the belief that customer needs to do not come first is ridiculous. In this situation, we would like side government and the fellow judges to imagine a world where you are not the main focus of business, but just a toy for this businessman. Ladies and gentlemen, imagine once again a world where we don't get satisfactory and quality service that we also very well deserve. Customers who also work 9 to 5, customers who can be of all ages, and customers of many types of personalities being in the face of bad consumerism, how exhausted they are at any point of their day. We need to pity the customers because the majority of them are workers too. If management were to be prioritized, ultimately we can observe that service become worse. This is because customer rights are being eased, and this causes service workers to not fulfill their customers' need. After all of this, where exactly does this lead us to? This shows how practically it's either a win-win situation or a lose-lose situation. customers' well-being for the exhausted customers and the customers with special needs in exchange for company with the ability to sustain and profit. It's quite simple. You disrespect the customers lose confidence in that company. Company loses customers, company loses profit, company is in loss. Hence, the lose-lose scenario. This can be vice versa in terms of customers disrespecting companies as well. But all jobs comes with the cost and their flaws. All jobs are stressful, and this is what we used to. To summarize this point, business have to develop a win-win situation with customers because consumers are the backbone of any company. And if consumers don't get what they deserve, then won't this be a major injustice? So, ladies and gentlemen, I urge you to side with the opposition for today's debate. Our keys line and points for today is as clear as day and very straightforward. And if the government still refuses to accept our stand for today, perhaps our opponent for today needs to take their hats out of their gloomy clouds and see the light shining on our team. To conclude, let me reiterate our case line for today, which is we, as the opposition, believe that the customers play the most important role in the company's success. With that, I raise my case. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Ms. Darin. Ladies and gentlemen and honorable adjudicators, let's hear from the third speaker of the government team, Mr. Yuga Varga.
A very good morning to the honorable adjudicators, very well composed moderator, accurate timekeeper, my fellow government team, and fellow oppositions. The purpose of me standing on the floor today is to be rebutting all points put forward by the opposition. Before rebutting the points they have put forward, I would like to clarify something with the opposition. We, as the government, do not disagree in any form. We do not disagree in any form that customers play a vital role in the business. Of course, customers play a vital role in the business. Customers are very important to the business. But no matter how important they become, the business provider is equally important. Can you have customers walking around and successful business? Definitely not. We need a business provider and a customer. Only then a buyer and seller situation can be obtained. Therefore, only prioritizing the customer, like what the opposition is doing, only prioritizing the customer is a very discriminative and biased act. Just as how we have stated in our case line that this dominant belief had already nurtured an absolutely discriminative and biased environment. Well, it is very obvious here that whatever the customer says is right. And the motion also says that customer needs and desires always come first. The motion doesn't say that we do not support any felony or whatever. The motion doesn't come up with that. If the customer's desire is to be rude, is to be arrogant, is to be against the policy of the company, if it is its desire, the opposition is agreeing that it should come first. You cannot say that you are not supporting any kind of felony. If you do not support any kind of felony, you are not showing you are not obeying the word always comes first. Always comes first is referring to unconditional. When it's unconditional, it always comes first. There's no condition for it. Yes, accept it, please.
So you're implying that service workers should only tend to customers that are very nice and polite to them? Thank you.
No, I haven't talked about the service provider as yet. I've only said that whatever the customer's needs and desires should not always come first. I never uttered from my word that the service provider should do this and do that. From the beginning of this debate, I would like to bring it to the attention of the members of the House that the oppositions are putting words into our mouth. For an example, our first speaker did not say prioritize reputation, but our first speaker did not talk anything about reputation and all these things. But in the rebuttal of the second speaker of the opposition, she said that rebutting my second speaker's point, she's talking about reputation.
KY, sir.
Well, yes, accepted.
Didn't my second speaker already clarify that that was not a rebuttal and that was a point? Were we the ones not listening or were you? Thank you.
By clarifying that that wasn't a rebuttal and her point, she herself has admitted to the fact that she has failed to rebut any points that put forward by my second speaker. She did not mention anything that has been put forward by my second speaker. She was just putting words into our mouth the entire debate. Now, moving on to what the first speaker has said, the first speaker said that by letting the customer's desire and need always come first, it makes the business successful. Well, in what regard does the opposition consider a successful business? A successful business doesn't only refer about money, money, and money. And what the opposition are trying to do is money, money, and money. They're trying to depicting money
KY,
as
sir.
the money rule syndrome. Yes, please.
Isn't the main point of a business to create income?
No, the main point of a business is not to create income. The main point of a business is to ensure a happy customer, a happy worker, a happy buyer, a happy business, happy environment. Money is not the only thing that rules, ladies and gentlemen. Money does not rule. Money is not the king for today. Next, the first speaker had said that it would not cause any violation. How sure are you that it doesn't cause any violation? Violation is not just based on rules. Violation can also be social violation. For an example, in a case in the United States of America, it was a hot news lately where a restaurant was on fire. It was burning on fire where people's lives were at risk. Well, this cool little customer who the opposition really supports, customers who always make sure their needs and desire comes first, this customer had already paid for some food. So he made sure that the manager risks his life and gets him the food. So is this what the opposition is trying to say? It is not a form of violation. It's not against the rules, but it's against a social violation. Therefore, it's obviously wrong. It's obviously a discriminative and biased act. Therefore,
KY,
the
sir.
opposition supporting this is totally unacceptable. Sorry, ma'am, rejected. Moving to the second speaker, they said that the second speaker in her opening had said that when someone voluntarily works for a company, they will know what they are facing. They will know what they are facing. What do you mean by they will know what they are facing? Are you telling me that if you want to work for an organization, you have to have a thick face and go against rude people, against biased people, against discriminative people? We as the government are looking into this inequality
KY,
of
sir.
customer and seller. Sorry, rejected. We are looking at this issue just as how seriously we look into racism and gender inequality. Both of this show discriminative and biased acts. Therefore, this issue is of the same level of this issue has to be taken into the same equal amount of consideration. Next, talking about mistreating. The second speaker of the opposition is agreeing that when you work for a company, you have to be ready to be mistreated. Well, mistreating is putting your dignity down the drain. Therefore, as you said, the company reputation would go down the road, not
Aye,
only
sir.
through... sorry, ma'am, rejected. Let me finish my points first. You said that when somebody complains about your company on social media and within a click of a button, the reputation goes down the drain. So are you telling me that just for your company's reputation, you have to sacrifice the self-dignity, the self-respect of your workers? Are you telling me that when someone is rude to you, you have to just accept it? Dear opposition, are you neglecting the social benefits that could come if both is given the
KY,
equal
sir.
rights? Sorry, ma'am, rejected. I repeat, I have points to finish right now. Okay, the social benefits of how we could create an equality, a dynamic equilibrium between power and authority in our society. There needs to be an equilibrium of authority. It doesn't mean that if you pay, you have the authority. No, it means that even if you pay, you're showing a sign of appreciation to the buyer. When you buy something, you're not buying the dignity and the self-respect of the buyer, of the seller. You are just buying the goods they provide. Therefore, it gives you no right to put your needs and desire as always come first. It's a very selfish thing to do, to be honest. She had talked about a win-win situation. The second speaker talked about a win-win situation. I quote, win-win situation. What do you understand by win-win situation? The word itself had said that the buyer has some benefits, the seller has some benefits. Therefore, if the needs and desire of the customer is always comes first, how will the needs of the seller be prioritized? You are contradicting your own words, the opposition.
POI,
You are
sir.
contradicting. The POI, time for POI is already over. You are contradicting your own words, dear opposition. Now, before I rest my case, I would like to reaffirm our stand and what we believe in. We believe that if customers' needs and desire is always put first, there will not be an equality in our society. There will be an authoritarian kind of environment in our society, and obviously there would be customers with different needs and desires, and companies cannot be fulfilling all of them. If companies were to fulfill all of them, the only thing that they would go through is bankruptcy. Now, I affirm that this House regrets the dominant belief that customers' needs and desires should always come first, because, as our case line states, this dominant belief had already nurtured an absolutely discriminative and biased environment where slavery is given utmost importance to. With this, I rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Yuga Varga. Well, ladies and gentlemen and honorable adjudicators, this is the third speaker of the opposition team, Ms. Priyanka.
A very good morning to the Honorable Madam Speaker, trusted judges, well-respected and most wonderful opponents and members of the floor. Today, as the third speaker, I would like to rebut all the points and rebuttals made by the side government. First of all, I would like to first reinstate our burden of proof for today, which is that we as the opposition believe that the customers play the most important role in a company's success. First of all, let me please respond to the POI made by the third speaker, which was sent to my second speaker, which was, are you trying to say that they know what is coming in the service industry, so it's okay to be rude? First of all, let me ask you something. Do you yourself say that the service industry is easy? Everyone here can agree that the service industry is not easy to handle, but the government seems to say that we agree with rude treatment. Of course we do not, but is it in any way part of our motion? And neither did we, the side opposition, state that we agree with rude or any bad behaviors by the customers. Yet you make it seem like we do. Now, I must go on to say an unanswered POI, which was pointed towards the side government, where we ask, isn't the main point of a company or business the income? You see, side government failed to answer this because what you said that the company's main job is to have a happy buyer, happy seller, all of that. Isn't that also part of our... Let me finish. Isn't that also part of our platform for today? Yes.
So, like I said, I have already answered your PRI that we did not deny that customers are a source of income and their main source of income. But like we have said, just because they're being paid doesn't mean that their workers deserve to get disrespected or have a lower say in authority. Please justify your answer, my opposition.
Yes, I would also like you to justify your answer because your first speaker mentioned nothing about prioritizing always. You only mentioned that they shouldn't. So, yet your second speaker, you two are contradicting yourselves. So, who should we believe? Because at this point, I'm not sure who's fighting for what case. Now, back to my rebuttals. I would like to first rebut the arguments made by the first speaker. You said that we, as the opposition, we have stated that the service industry must have complete obedience. You see, we stated in our platform for today that we do not go against laws. Let me please repeat it. That we as the opposition suppose and prioritize customers' well-being. However, we do not in any way do something that does not abide by laws or do not support any form of felony. And you were one asking us why we were talking about felony. This is why. This is part of the rude treatment, is it not? Yes.
You have said that you don't support any form of felony. What if the customer's desire is to be rude? What if the customer's desire is against the policy? Do you still support it, or do you feel that they should not always come first?
Yes, let me tell you something that the third speaker from the government had said earlier. You said that these rude things are encouraged by us, but also did we state that you cannot take action against them? All we said was that their needs and desires do come first, but we never ever mentioned that you cannot take action against them. So if they harass you, if they do stuff like this to you, of course you can take action against them, but we are stating that their needs and desires still come first because of that. Now, let me continue to rebutting the points made.
Ma'am.
Yes.
If you give them the mentality that they always come first, isn't this indirectly giving them an authority, a step higher to do what they wish and get away with it?
I believe so that is not true, because nobody ever said that they have the most authority in this place. We are just saying that they are the most important thing to the business. Yes, and that is also stated in our burden of proof today. Now, I would also like to rebut the second speaker. for the second speaker's rebuttals. You said that we are going to turn a blind eye to all these things. Didn't we already say how? I don't know how many times I can harp on this, but we have already stated in our parameter and in our platform that we do not do anything that does not go by the laws and do not support any form of anything like that. Yet you are saying that we are turning a blind eye, but whereas you are not even listening to what we are saying. You do not listen to a single thing that my first speaker had kept harping on the fact that we stated anything that goes against the laws nobody should allow. Now, you also, the second speaker also mentioned that business can come across issues. So isn't that the most important time that you should get the most income? If your business is coming across issues, you should be increasing your income, you should be increasing your reputation. And again, once again, you as the government, let me finish, you as the government stated that we are putting words in your mouth about saying something that you said were rebuttals. But we already mentioned that my second speaker had one rebuttal. I'm not sure if you were listening, but she did. And then she went on to continue her point. Now, we also state that, sorry, yes, your POI?
You stated that you can take actions against customers who are rude, but is there any rules against social norms?
Yes, there is. Do you know what a company policy is? If you look in a company policy, there's things where they do not allow any harassment of any sort. So if the customer is doing something along the lines of harassment, yes, you can take action against them. Now, we also said you gave the bus driver analogy, the second speaker from the government, and but we already stated that we are not breaking any rules. Yet you blindly ignore the
POI,
fact
ma'am.
that we already stated it. I'm sorry, but I have more to say. You blindly ignored the fact that we already stated that we do not agree with going against any laws. Yet you are saying that we are putting words in your mouth whereas you are putting words into ours. Now, let me continue to rebut the third speaker.
POI,
They,
ma'am.
yes.
Your second speaker, in her fluent speech, had said that the company cannot punish the customer because the customer would damage their reputation. And you just said that the company has all the authority to punish the customer if they are rude or
Thank
something.
you.
So aren't you both contradicting obviously?
First of all, my second speaker never mentioned anything about not being able to punish them. They said was that I'm saying that you can take action against them, and so does she believe that. She never mentioned anything about the word, she never even said the word punish. Now, I would like to move on to the rebuttals and continue from where I was. You see, last thing was that you stated it was a win-win situation. I'm not sure if you were listening to the elaboration given by my second speaker, but when we said it's a win-win situation, if you treat your customer well, obviously they're going to want to come back and want to buy from this business. So that means not only does the company get income, but the customers are happy. So doesn't that also agree with what you said, whereas the biggest thing about a company is a happy buyer? So if you want a happy buyer, don't you have to treat the people well? And also, just because we stated this does not mean anything against that. Now, finally, I would like to reinstate our burden of proof for today, which is that we as the opposition believe that the customers play the most important role in a company's success. And with that, I end my case. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Priyanka. We have heard the arguments from both teams, and now the debaters are given 3 minutes to prepare for their reply speech. Now, to wrap up our debate today, here is the reply speech from the opposition team, which will be delivered by Ms. Darin Idani.
A very good morning, I bid to the honorable judges. I, as the first speaker, will be delivering a reply speech for the opposition side. First off, let me start with stating the biggest clash in our debate today. Side government is focusing on discrimination and isolated cases, while side opposition take a service workers and companies' well-being into accountability. Next, I shall continue with stating all the arguments made by opposition side and strengthening our arguments. First, customers are companies' main source of income. It is as clear as day, and the main point of doing a business is to gain an income. Without the customers, how the company will gain an income? If the customers need is being fulfilled, they will keep coming back to the company and become the source of income. The second point is a company's reputation is as important. If you are to only care about the polite and kind, it give you a bad reputation. But also, said government stated Karens are not okay. Which yes, they are not. But doesn't that help the company if their employees are kind and polite? Therefore, once you agree with us, so thank you, said government. The third point is the win-win situation. Like what said government has agreed with us, happy customers, happy buyer. Thus, prioritizing customers' desire will lead to a company excelling. As for the rude customer, or the third speaker has repeatedly stated that we will be taking action against them if they are crossing the lines. We merely fulfilling their desire. One of the main statements that we believe in is that we, as the opposition, believe that the customer played the most important role in the company's success. Now I shall point out several flaws in the government side for today as to show you that there were several things to be addressed. They failed to prove how prioritizing all times directly lead to inequality or discrimination that the side opposition has been questioning the entire time. The main point of business, the third speaker has mentioned, the main point of business is not about creating income, but instead a happy customer, which is actually the same as our platform. So thank you very much, side government, for agreeing with us for today. They also failed to prove how the purpose of a business doesn't revolve around income. Apparently, a happy environment is more important. The side government doesn't care about the company's well-being. They are merely looking at isolated discrimination cases. Side government has also agreed to our burden of proof that customers do play an important role in company success. Thank you so much for that. As I come to the end of my reply speech, I would like to state our case for today for the final time. We, as the opposition, believe that the customers play the most important role in the company's success. I rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Darin. And last but not least, here is the reply speech from the government team, which will be given by Ms. Amber Lee.
Members of the House, welcome for the last time from today's proponent. It is now my pleasure to summarize this debate. Let me restate our motion, which is this House regrets the dominant belief that customers' needs and desires should always come first. But as our case line has stated, such dominant belief has nurtured on absolutely discriminative and biased environment as customers' needs and desires should always come first. Before I say anything else, let me talk about that win-win situation that the opposition has keep saying. They said that win-win situation, okay, you guys will have equal say, you guys will have happy customers and happy staff, but you're just prioritizing customers. Like I said, with our motion today, you would have happy customers, yes, but would you have happy staff? How is that a win-win situation when you only prioritize customers? And then the other thing that they say, okay, you're giving your biggest clash, I'm also going to give my biggest clash, which is that their point is the main source of customers. Customers are main source of income. But like I said, we do not deny that they are the main source of income. Yet their desires and needs that wouldn't unnecessarily always right should not always be obeyed. And you said reputation. How is this linked to always going and believing about your desires? Because just because of a mere reputation and image, you're going to let your workers' reputation and image get destroyed? Like I said, because of implementing the always customers should always come first and always needs and desires should always be obeyed, like what my point has stated, the difference of authority would then lead to the reputation of the workers being destroyed as well. So the government are not understanding our stand where the customers' needs should be coming, okay? And we do not deny that, but it should not always come first. So the workers should feel as equalized and acknowledged. They have to have mutual respect rather than one high, one low, even if the customer is understanding. So they are prioritizing their needs and desires when it might not always be right. Like I said, ladies and gentlemen, we are not saying that customers cannot request, but we should not always obey. That's when we accept their unnecessary and extreme needs. Even with respect, the social hierarchy, the social norm would have been breached. One is it that they have the upper hand, the other had the lower. So we don't want our workers to feel like this. If the customers are understanding, we would love that again. But we as the government would not simply and randomly table a motion like this today. It's definitely because we saw the problems. We have already see the issues. Companies has already complained to us. This is why we are regretting now. So we want to make a change for that instead of continuing it. So we thought that we are not denying that customers should come first. But then we are trying to break this dominant belief for a better and equal environment. So members of the House, if you let today's motion pass, we as the government would be beyond glad to implement the necessary actions to curb the problem. Like I said, you said by restricting the perimeter, you're neglecting the other possibilities. So we as a government, we're seeing a bigger picture, whereas the opposition, they're saying nobody should go against the law. But what if it goes against social norms? You said that my first speaker never said it should be always obeying, but excuse me, today's the motion has already stated that it should always come first. You can also listen back to the live where the second speaker said that the company is no one to punish. And now you're saying that you guys can punish those. So you're allowing these acts, yet when they come, you're going to punish them. What trap is this? So in conclusion, this House regrets the dominant belief because one, it's detrimental to the equality, and it's rude, no respect, the difference of authority, and also different customers come with different needs. With this, I rest my case. Thank you.
Thank you, Miss Amberly. Now we shall wait for the result. Okay, debaters, I have the result with me. The result is the motion is declined. So the winning team is the opposition team, and the best debaters goes to Priyanka Bernardine Cameron. Congratulations all.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. You guys did an amazing job.
Yes, it good.
Congratulations, guys. You guys were very strong.
Likewise, likewise.